I've got some friends that have been asking me to make a video on Frost Mage rotation guide, so I figured I would just go ahead and do that. Want to preface this video by saying that I am by no means a rank 1 player. I've never even been Gladiator. I've hit Elite a couple times. I have decent experience on Frost Mage, so this video is kind of just for anybody looking for basic rotation information and kind of just the fundamentals, I guess. So let's dig into it. First off, Frost Mage is pretty simple. It doesn't have a whole lot. These are the talents that I'm running. I think this season people are running Comet Storm instead now, but the premise is pretty simple. Cryopathy is your bread and butter for Ray of Frost. I'm gonna go through basics first. So we run Frozen Orb here. Frozen Orb is one of your main filler cooldowns. It's only on a minute cooldown, and you can reduce the cooldown of this very quickly using things like Blizzard. Fingers of Frost, this is basically how you're going to be pumping out damage in between your main burst goes. Basically, your Frozen Orb has a 10% chance to grant a charge of Fingers of Frost. We also have other multipliers down here. So like each one of your icicles deals extra damage and has a 5% chance to gain the Fingers of Frost effect. Basically, you should be getting a lot of these procs, and when you get them, you just want to dump your Ice Lances into them. It's going to make them hit as if they were frozen. It's going to be your top damage in most scenarios. It's just a huge multiplier, and it's a very easy cast. It's instant, so you don't have to worry about getting kicked. You can do it while you're kiting. It's very effective. How you're going to get your damage rotation up, and in between your damage rotations, your big burst rotations being your Frost Bomb and your Ray of Frost, which don't have to be used in tandem. Obviously, Frost Bomb only has a 15-second cooldown, and if you're shifting power, it's going to reduce that even further. So if you can also just Frost Bomb and watch the tick on it, and right before it ticks, you can make sure you hit that. It's going to give you 2 stacks of the Winter's Chill, and it's basically going to make it hit as if it were frozen. You can see that it bugs out on the target dummy here sometimes, but yeah, that's typically how you'll want to use Frost Bomb. Obviously, if you pair it with Ray of Frost, it's huge damage. You can potentially one-shot someone if they're not paying attention to it. Frost Bomb is usually dispelled pretty quick, but if you cross-CC a target when you go to do your burst rotation, you can usually get it off, which will result in just huge burst. Up Icicles, which are going to be used from using your Fingers of Frost procs. When you get 5 of them, your Glacial Spike will light up and allow you to actually use it. Glacial Spike is another one of those huge burst fillers. You want to also pair it with a flurry beforehand if you can, or what you can do, I'll show you here, I'll just build up some icicle charges real quick. You can actually cast it, and while it's flying, you can hit your Icy Nova, and it'll cause the target to be frozen right as your Glacial Spike hits, so it gives it that frozen bonus, and you can catch people off guard with that one as well. Talents that I run are the PvP talents. I don't typically swap these too much. Some of them can be used in niche situations. If I'm fighting like a Resto Druid, for example, sometimes I'll take Snowdrift and 2v2 just to see if I can catch them in a stun and one-shot them with a Frost Bomb Ray, but typically these are the 3 that I stick with. I've seen people have success with Ice Wall. I know Aegis runs this and makes some pretty cool videos with it. Concentrated Coolness is another one that I'll sometimes flex to, but for the most part, these are the ones that I default to. They seem to work really well for me, and they tend to fit pretty much every single situation. The opener, what I'll try to do is I'll go for a Polymorph. Obviously, I can't Polymorph this, and I'll basically throw this out. Anytime your Frozen Orb is out, you want to put down an instant cast Blizzard. I'll Frost Bomb, try to get off a Ring of Frost, and flurry straight into a Ray of Ice, or excuse me, a Ray of Frost, and it'll just put out huge damage. And then you just want to spend your charges basically on Ice Lances and your flurry, and then you should get a Glacial proc. You can go ahead and slam that in there too, and that'll be your main burst rotation. Like I said, you want to just spam your Ice Lance procs any chance you get. They obviously crit really hard. And in between your main burst goes, that's pretty much what you're doing, is just crowd controlling, blinking around, putting down a Ring of Fire, keeping targets off you as much as you can while just trying to put out as much consistent damage without taking as much damage. It's kind of a back and forth of not getting hit after your burst, so you'll want to just kind of keep your orbs down on cooldown. Always Blizzard. Try to hit multiple targets with Blizzard. It just reduces the cooldown of Frozen Orb tremendously. Use it on cooldown whenever Frozen Orb's out. you're fighting things like a Demo Lock or a Beastmaster Hunter, you're pretty much going to have almost 100% uptime on Frozen Orb, which is just going to give you astronomical damage numbers because you're going to be spamming out these Ice Lance procs like no other. You're just able to put out huge damage. So always do that. Look for Frost Bomb goes when you can. Like I said, always preface it with Flurry, or if you time it right, you can hit an Icy Nova for that 3 second before the Frost Bomb explodes, and it'll give you the same exact crit as if they were frozen, just to catch people off. In between that, it's a lot of blinking around and slowing things, keeping up as much as you can. Prioritize shifting power to get your Ray of Frost back. You want that big damage go as much as you can. When you blink, you also get displacement, which allows you to blink back to where you were, and it also heals you for a good amount, so you'll definitely want to prioritize that as much as you can for kiting. What I like to do against like warriors or ret paladins, especially if you can steal freedom, is you blink away, keep hitting them. When they get to you, you just blink back to your previous location, and they're just gonna run at you basically, and then they get to you again. You have another charge, you can just blink away again. And you pretty much just keep people running at you the whole time. If they get close, you can always throw a Death's Breath and put down a Ring of Frost for CC and reset. You can also Blast Wave them away from you, just puts a slow on them and knocks them back. And if you're getting trained, Greater Invisibility, a lot of people use this on Opener to try and get, like, I don't know, a big damage opener, but really you should be saving this. This is your wall. It's not a very great wall, but you do take 60% reduced damage for 3 seconds after reappearing, so I tend to save it for if I'm just getting focused by something and I'm, I don't know, half health, I'll just pop it. Usually it takes me right out of invisibility, but you get that 3 seconds of damage reduction. You can negate a lot of big cooldowns with it. It also wipes focus frames if people have those on you, and it just is a good ability. You can also use it, like if a Chaos Bolt is coming at you, you can time it so you hit Greater Invisibility before the projectile actually hits you. It'll nullify it. It acts like Shadow Melt. You can also just pump out some Frost Bolts for some extra damage and fish for Fingers of Frost procs. It also generates an Icicle every time you hit Frostbolt, so if you're at like 3 or 4 of them and you're trying to go for that Glacial, you can pump some of those out and get your Glacial and just hit someone for damage. Do keep in mind that your Glacial Spike also will hit a nearby enemy for 100% of the damage. I think that's reduced in PvP to 80%. And I believe that tier bonus also increases the damage of Glacial Spike. So Glacial Spikes are huge for just pressure. You don't necessarily have to use it for a go, but just consistent damage. It's critting for 300k in last season's PvP gear, so I'm sure this season is probably doing like 400,000 or 500,000 damage if you can get it off. It's pretty big. Other than that, a lot of playing Mage is just utilizing your cooldowns and keeping things off you. One of the things that helped me a lot when I was learning is I had to stop panic reacting to things and just play slow. Coming from a rogue player where you're bouncing back and forth constantly and everything you do feels like you just have streamlined ADHD and you're on meth, going to Mage just feels really, really concentrated and focused and a lot slower pace. You're doing just as much as rogue, but you have to really think your next playthrough. Like if a warrior is coming at you, do you blast wave them? Do you DB them? Do you blink? It's a lot of cooldown management. Also with Alter Times, there's a couple different ways you can utilize this. If you're fighting things that have dispels, I will usually use this for like a big burst. Like if I'm fighting a Frost Mage or something, I know they're just going to steal it. But I'll wait for them to hit their big cooldown on me, and I'll just alter it, and then cancel it after I take that damage. So I pretty much just negate 100% of it. The other way that you can utilize this is if you have no charges of Blink. Looks like it's still going to be on cooldown, so I won't be able to show you, but if you only have 1 charge of Blink or no charges, if you just click and cancel your alter time instantly, it will refund a charge of Blink as well. So essentially you can have 3 blinks plus your displacement to go back. So you can really keep distance between you. A warrior should almost never be able to connect to you. Things like rogue should have a really hard time only having 2 shadow steps. Even ret paladins, you should be spell stealing freedom as much as you can. A lot of it is just keeping things away from you and learning how to kite and keep things slowed, like I said. Blizzard as many things as you can. You can see how it just reduces the cooldown of this constantly, and then you have shifting power on top of it, so you can get Frost Orb up really often and just pump out these Ice Lances. They also cleave, so you're doing AoE pressure on top of just having insane single target damage. A lot of people can't keep up with it. I don't find myself pushing it for polymorphs too often, so CC on Frost Mage is kind of at your discretion. If you have kill pressure and you don't have somebody with you to CC, obviously go for like a polymorph or even just a Ring of Frost on the healer, or polymorph the healer, Ring of Frost the DPS that you're killing in like a 2v2 so you can get a frozen setup on them, because they're going to be sitting there for 6 seconds, you have both targets CC'd, you pretty much dominate the game. Just keeping things away from you as much as possible. Mage is really squishy, you have to really negate damage as much as you can, while also finding a balance of putting out damage. But hopefully this guide helped. I know it's kind of weird. I've never made a video before, so I'm also not editing this. It's going to be kind of just raw footage with my rambling. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to message me in game, and hopefully I helped you out. My name will be any form of Never Fade on Area 52, or my mage is McSchwacken if I am online. Feel free to message me. Thanks.